My life as a billionaire's son was shattered until a humble maid did the unthinkable. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It was a day like any other, but something was brewing in the air. The mansion, so grand and cold, felt more like a cage than a home. Marble floors echoed loneliness, while golden chandeliers hung like whispers of wealth that brought me no comfort. My father's face was a storm cloud, full of anger and disappointment. I was used to his icy glares, the pressure to be perfect, to be everything he wanted. But on that day, something shifted. As I paced through the halls, my heart raced with the uncertainty of it all. I felt trapped, suffocated by expectations. There was a heaviness in my chest that made it hard to breathe. And then I saw her. Maria, the kind-hearted maid, scrubbing the floors with her worn-out hands. She was a ghost in this house, always unnoticed, yet somehow, her presence brought a flicker of warmth. The way she worked, her focus, her determination, it pulled at something deep inside me. Back then, I lived in a world of tailored suits and jeweled parties. I went to the best schools, had every luxury at my fingertips, yet inside, I felt like a fraud. Everyone else seemed to thrive, except for me. I wanted to scream, to break free, but fear held me back. The pressure was unbearable, but Maria had secrets, deep ones that rippled through her quiet demeanor. She was different. I caught her eye one day, and in that moment, I felt an unspoken bond. She knew pain. She knew what it was like to feel invisible. Her life was a stark contrast to mine, yet it was her struggle that fascinated me. It was as if she carried an unyielding spirit that pierced through even the thickest walls of wealth. Then the day came, the day that changed everything. My father's voice shattered the silence, demanding to know where a missing fortune had gone. There was rage in his eyes, fury spilling out like poison. I felt a tightness gripping my throat. I knew the stakes. I saw Maria flinch in the doorway, her wide eyes filled with fear. In that moment, our lives intertwined like a thread about to snap. I didn't know what she was hiding. I didn't know the truth, but I could feel it in the air. Tension thick, silence screamed. My heart beat frantically as secrets swirled around us like a storm. Could a humble maid really change my fate? Could she unravel everything my family had built? And then, just as I was about to step forward, she looked at me with an intensity that made the world shrink away. "You don't know everything," she whispered, her voice trembling, holding a secret that felt like shattered glass. The surprise in her gaze captured me, drawing me closer to her mystery. What could she possibly mean? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Night cloaked the mansion in shadows while the cacophony of my thoughts raged inside. Every flicker of the candlelight danced against the polished walls, illuminating my father's fury like some twisted art piece. I stood paralyzed, Mariah's words hanging in the air between us, a whisper that felt like a thick rope binding me to a truth I wasn't ready to face. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice barely above a murmur as the echo of my father's accusations faded into the bitter silence. My heart was a metronome, steady and racing all at once, urging me to dive deeper into the enigma before me. Maria took a slow breath, her hands trembling subtly. "There are things even you don't understand, things that don't just affect you," she replied, glancing nervously towards the door as if expecting another storm to break through. Her eyes darted past me, fixating on a distant memory that seemed to haunt her. I could sense the weight of her secretan anchor tethered to her soul, as heavy as the expectation crushing mine that I wanted to reach for her, to pull her closer. In that moment, our worlds felt colliding, hers filled with quiet suffering, mine echoing with relentless demands. The tension shattered as a muffled thud reverberated nearby. My father was stomping around, still furious, and reality loomed like a dark cloud, suffocating in its grip. "Maria, please," I implored, stepping nearer. It was reckless to seek the truth, but at that moment, nothing else mattered. "Tell me what you know." "I want to help," she hesitated, her fierce resolve now flickering like the candle flames that illuminated our clandestine moment. "You don't know what you're asking," she whispered, almost a plea. I could see the battle within her eyes, fear of exposure warred against a longing for connection. "You're wrapped in silk, and this world it's hidden, it's dark." Then, unexpectedly, a soft voice broke through the tension. "Is everything all right here?" A fellow staff member, an older man with weary eyes, stepped hesitantly into view. He regarded us curiously, sensing the atmosphere charged with unspoken truths. I felt the weight of 1,000 secrets pressing down as I exchanged glances with Maria. This moment could slip away, swallowed whole by the confines of this mansion. "It's fine. Just a misunderstanding," I managed to say, forcing a smile that felt foreign on my lips. But inside, a storm raged, a cocktail of fear and impatience brewing. As the man nodded and retreated, Mariah's gaze sharpened with urgency. There was something deeper here, more profound than the spat between my father and me. "You don't need to protect me," I said softly, my own disappointment creeping into my voice. "Tell me, Maria. Please." Against her better judgment, she stepped close, her breath warm against the chill of the night. "There's a legacy hidden, one that could destroy your family if it ever emerged. But knowing this, it will change everything for you too. My mind whirled. Was I prepared to step off this familiar ledge, into the unknown? What kind of legacy? I stammered, feeling both terrified and feverishly curious at the precipice of this revelation, but before she could respond, a loud crash resonated from the study, followed by my father's furious voice, sharp as a blade cutting through the chaos. "Find it. I want answers now." In an instant, the fragile bubble we had created burst. Maria stepped back, her eyes wide, filled with a multitude of emotions that mirrored my own. "They can't find out," she said, panic rising in her voice. "Not like this. It could ruin everything." As our worlds began to drift apart, something deep inside me broke. "Then we can't let them," I exclaimed, the weight of this burgeoning knowledge settling onto my shoulders. I felt an uncanny connection pulling at my heart, the kind I had always dreamt of but never knew was possible. As chaos roared just beyond the door, Maria slipped something into my hand, a small, crumpled note filled with numbers and a name, before she turned and vanished into the shadows. The warmth of her touch lingered in my palm. It told me that every secret, every fragment of the truth, was intertwined with my fate. I looked at the note, my pulse racing. What did it mean? And as night deepened around me, I knew it wouldn't just be my family's legacy in jeopardy, but my very essence. I was faced with a choice: to unravel the knot of my existence further, or to turn away and hold on to the facade that had chained me for so long. The weight of the decision felt monumental, and yet, something deep inside whispered that to know the truth might also be the key to my liberation. With my heart thundering, I knew I had to make a choice. As I considered the clarity amidst the chaos, the door swung open once more, and my father stormed in, eyes blazing with fury, cutting through the tangled strands of my emerging reality. "Get yourself together," he barked, his voice casting chains that would follow me long into the night. And as Mariah's note slipped from my grasp, fluttering to the floor as if it were a fallen star, I felt the fear swelling once more, merging desperation and dread in a more profound collision than I had ever known. The collision of two worlds was only just beginning, and as Mariah's secret swirled around us like the tempest outside, I knew the true revelation had yet to unfold. The silhouette of my father loomed over me, dark and oppressive, and for a split second, all I could focus on were his anger-etched features. My world felt constricted as the air left my lungs, stifled by his unrelenting presence. I had barely found the courage to confront one unknown truth, and now, another awaited in the shadows, gnawing at me with the ferocity of a wild animal. Do you even understand what's at stake? he roared, his voice echoing against the mansion's marble walls. The crackle of intensity swirled around us, demanding attention while a surge of defiance rose in my chest. I wanted to scream that his fury was misplaced, that there were more pressing issues at hand than his wounded pride. But as I opened my mouth, I felt the chill of despair slip through my fingers, silencing me. "Speak when I'm talking to you," he snapped. The way his gaze pierced into me made me feel like a criminal facing judgment. The mansion's shadows wrapped tighter around us, every echo, every creak suggesting impending doom. Just when the heat of his anger threatened to boil over, I noticed a flicker of movement from the corner of my vision. Maria had returned, her expression brimming with fear and resolve. She stepped hesitantly into the mouth of the chaos, a sanctuary cloaked in the vulnerability of her being. "Sir," she began, her voice quaking yet steady, "may I speak?" In that instant, I felt hope shoot through me like lightning. Maybe her courage would quell my father's wrath, provide a new angle to this relentless confrontation. But the flare of hope was extinguished as swiftly as it lit, for my father's brows knitted together like dark clouds, ready to unleash a monsoon. "Do not speak unless spoken to," he barked at her, dismissing her like an afterthought, and I felt rage stir anew within me. My instincts urged me to protect Maria from his sneering contempt. "Stop. You don't get to treat her that way," I shouted, surprised by my own boldness. The truth within me demanded acknowledgement, and the air around us thickened with unyielding tension, but my defiance was met with a terrifying silence, punctuated only by the underlying heartbeats of sudden fear. Maria's eyes caught mine for the briefest moment, her worry swirling as an unasked question lingered uncomfortably between us. What would happen if I truly defied my father? He pivoted toward me, contempt mingling with incredulity. "You would threaten everything you have for a fleeting moment of rebellion?" he questioned, his voice a low growl. I felt myself deflate, swallowed by the irony of the situation. I was fighting for her humanity against the very man who was my own flesh and blood, but Maria broke the silence. Her voice, though soft, resonated through the air. "Sir, it's deeper than you see." "Maybe enough," he thundered, cutting her off. "You know your place, girl. Remember it." With every spiteful word, I saw something shatter inside her. The embers of her spirit dimmed briefly before flickering to life again behind her resolute gaze. "Maybe I do," she steadied herself, "but so should you. You can't hide the truth forever." Her words hung in the air like a promise of dawn breaking through the darkness. I felt a surge of admiration rise in me, igniting the hope I thought was smothered. Perhaps her humility bore a hidden strength, one my father's wrath could not extinguish, but the moment crumbled like fragile glass. My father turned on her with a fierce, predatory glare. "You would do well to mind your own business, girl. This family has no need for your meddlesome truths." A storm brewed in the depths of his eyes, threatening destruction. No. I interjected, stepping forward, my protective instincts igniting with fierce ferocity. "Maria deserves to know she belongs, not to be treated like a shadow," I said, an urgency cooling my fear. In that moment, Maria's eyes brightened, caught off guard by my unexpected proclamation. My father's expression morphed, a mixture of disbelief and anger, as he processed my words. Within the turmoil of our standoff, I felt an unsteady bond for Maria had become more to me than an employee. She was entwined within this night, caught in the uncertainties of legacy and love. "You're making a fool of yourself," he spat, but then, a different kind of thunder rolled outside. A deep, rumbling growl of rain crashing against the windows, a harbinger of chaos mirroring the turmoil within. As lightning illuminated the rooms, illuminating shadows that danced menacingly on the walls, my heart raced. "Your empire is built on secrets and lies, father," I shot back, feeling the rush of adrenaline and desperate clarity meld into one. "And there's no peace when the truth is hidden beneath it all. It will destroy everything." His laughter was cold and cruel, slicing the air with precision. "You are naive if you think you know anything about what's buried in the past." In that moment, the door creaked open again, and I barely had time to register a figure entry. An older woman, someone from the household staff I vaguely recognized, stepped forward. Her face was pale, almost ethereal, as if she carried the weight of an unsung prophecy. "Sir," just as she began to speak, a surge of raw energy gripped the room, and in her tremulous voice, I caught one word, the name from the note Maria had given me. A mere utterance that wrapped around my heart and squeezed tight. Eileen. Tension electrified the atmosphere. My father's demeanor shifted to one of palpable dread, and for a fleeting moment, I recognized that we had ventured into dangerously uncharted waters. The air thickened with secrets unspoken, and the truth I sought hung tantalizingly on the edge of revelation. "Why are you bringing her into this?" he demanded, suddenly terrified of the very foundations of darkness he had built his world upon. The fear in his gaze didn't escape me. I felt a whirlwind of emotions converge within me: anger, confusion, and a flicker of defiance that whispered I was tethered to something greater than myself. I dared to take a step towards Maria, sizing the distance that felt like an impassable chasm mere moments ago, but before I could utter a single word, before I could seek the clarity she offered through our colliding worlds, my phone buzzed against my side. Hesitantly, I pulled it out, a sense of dread pooling in the pit of my stomach as I read the message that flashed across the screen: "Meet me at the old oak tree. We need to talk about Eileen." My heart dropped, for I knew that whomever sent that message had the potential to change everything. With a final glance at Maria, whose eyes now mirrored my own fear and anticipation, I could feel the ground shift beneath us once again. The door to revelation was opening into unimaginable darkness, and we stood on the precipice, ready to leap. The storm inside me raged fiercely, battling a single scintilla of hope that maybe, just maybe, the truths to come could free us from these chains. Glimmers of hope shone through the cracks of uncertainty swirling in my mind as I made my way to the old oak tree, my heart pounding in my chest like wild horses galloping through a storm. The rain had intensified, drenching the earth and draping the world in a thick, melancholic fog. The streets glistened under the dim glow of street lamps, reflecting the emotions resting within me, a collision of dread and excitement. My fingers trembled as I closed my hand around the phone, lingering over the screen that flickered with that cryptic message. Eileen. The name resonated like a chime, echoing in the depths of my consciousness, yet also scratching at the surface of new fears that gnawed at my resolve. What did this person know? What truths remained obscured in the shadows of my family's legacy? As I slowed my pace, the branches of the oak tree swayed gently, creating a soothing rustle that offered the comfort of companionship despite the brewing tempest. Memories flickered in my mind like the lightning above, a laughter shared beneath this very tree, stolen kisses in the summer dusk, secrets exchanged in whispers so soft the wind swallowed them whole. Alien had been the heartbeat of my childhood, as intrinsic to my discoveries as the air itself. And yet, she had vanished, lost to the tides of unwritten chapters. I arrived at the tree, the silhouette crashing against the backdrop of the turbulent sky. The figure waiting beneath was shrouded in shadows, but I sensed an undeniable aura of familiarity. The moment I stepped close, the rain began to subside, a gentle mist lingering between us. "Alex," the figure spoke softly, and as the mist receded, I saw her, Eileen, her features softened by the dim light, yet the strength in her gaze remained unaltered. My heart plummeted and soared in equal measure, each beat reverberating with emotion. "You shouldn't have come, it's not safe. It doesn't matter," I breathed, desperation intertwining with hope. "I needed to see you. I've uncovered things about my family, about us that I can't just let go." "You're part of this." Eileen shook her head, her expression clouded. "Alex, there are things you don't understand. There are shadows in your family's history that will consume you if you let them. I'm warning you for your own good. They are dangerous." Before I could respond, she raised a hand, as if sensing the storm of questions I wanted to unleash. "I need to tell you something. I was drawn back here for a reason." She took a step closer, the urgency in her voice softening to a whisper. "Eileen isn't just a name, it's part of who you are. Part of who I am. Do you mean the woman from the note? The connection I've felt?" I asked, heart racing anew. "Is she your mother?" Eileen interrupted, anxiety radiating from her. And they will stop at nothing to keep that truth buried with her. It's not merely a family secret, it's a legacy of pain. Your past is drenched in shadows, and they wish to keep it hidden. But you need to know what you're dealing with before you can claim your future. My mind reeled, the confusion of truth and betrayal swirled within me like the storm that still raged overhead. Why didn't anyone say anything? Why does it fall on us to uncover these truths? Because they fear what you might do with it. Eileen's voice trembled, tension hanging heavily in the air. They've seen the way you are, the defiance in your heart, the empathy you show. Your father isn't one to simply lose control. He wants to keep you trapped in this web of lies. The realization settled over me like a cloak, heavy, suffocating. My father had shrouded our lives in a dark labyrinth, but Eileen held the key, a thread that could lead me through. Then we have to expose it. We can't let these secrets define us. In her eyes, I saw a glimmer of hope, however, find a reflection of my own desire to break free from this cycle. But uncertainty still weighed heavily. What if he finds out? What if this only leads to more danger? Eileen, she reached out, her fingers brushing the back of my hand, grounding me in the storm swirling within. We'll find a way. Together. And maybe, through this, we can unearth strength we didn't know we had. A moment of connection sparked between us, echoing the promise of courage against the impending threats. But just as every heartbeat felt like a leap toward renewal, the earth shook with a ferocious clap of thunder. A chilling gust enveloped us, and the atmosphere shifted, a warning hanging ominously in the shadows. Without warning, a car screeched around the corner, headlights piercing through the dark like an executioner's blade. My heart sank as I recognized the silhouette behind the wheel. It was my father. Run! I shouted, but the words were barely out of my mouth when he stepped into the glow of the headlights, fury etched across his face. You dare conspire against me? I looked back at Eileen, her expression filled with both fear and unwavering resolve. We stood on the precipice of a storm far larger than ourselves, teetering on the brink of a revelation that could shake the foundations of our world. There was no retreat now, the veil of truth had begun to lift, and darkness brewed behind us, ready to swallow us whole. Together, Eileen whispered, the plea echoing between us as a defiant mantra against our common enemy. But as the corner flickered with flashes of emotion, I couldn't shake the poignant fear that our unity now could provoke unspeakable wrath. The uncertainty loomed above like an impending storm, threatening to tear apart everything I held dear, and it was only a matter of moments before the darkness would close in, and we'd have to face it together or become another echo in the shadows. The air hummed with tension, a stark contrast to the heavy rain that had subsided moments before. My father's towering figure loomed before us, a harbinger of the dread that gripped my heart. He was a man molded by secrets, an architect of shadows who wielded power with an iron fist. His eyes, usually a source of comfort, now burned with the intensity of a raging wildfire. Father, I can explain, I started, but the words felt inadequate, clinging to my throat like a dried leaf yearning for rain. The storm inside me raged louder than the thunder above, yet my resolve to unveil the truth burned brighter. Eileen stepped closer to me, allowing her presence to anchor my trembling spirit. You don't have to hide it anymore, Alex. You need to confront him. His gaze flickered to her, annoyance flickering in the depths of his dark eyes. What are you doing here? You have no place in this family's affairs. The derision in his tone was a slap that reverberated through the evening air. Maybe she has every right, Father. More than you'll ever know, I challenged, my voice steadying with each word. Within me stirred an unfamiliar bravery, fueled by the unmovable truth we were beginning to uncover together. His anger breached the Surfacian eruption tempered only by the meticulous control he exerted. You know nothing about your family, about what has been sacrificed to keep you safe. Safe? Is that what you call this life of deceit? I retorted, the fire of defiance igniting. You have forged a prison out of the truth, and I refuse to be a prisoner any longer. I have a right to know who I am. The wind picked up, sending a shudder through the branches of the oak tree, as if nature itself was responding to our confrontation. I could hardly breathe, my pulse quickening with the weight of the moment. Was I truly prepared for whatever lay ahead? A slight tremor ran through my father's stance, the cracks in his facade momentarily exposing a glimpse of vulnerability, but he masked it quickly. You think you can reject the life I've built for you? You think you can somehow dismantle the truths I've protected? A volley of conflicting emotions surged within me: fear, anger, and an aching hope. I took a breath, each inhalation tinged with newfound clarity. If the truths you've protected are to keep me from knowing my mother, from understanding my past, then yes, I will dismantle those lies. For a brief moment, I thought I saw something shift in his demeanor, perhaps regret, or even fear. But it was quickly swallowed by a storm of rage that spilled forth. You're playing a dangerous game, and you don't even understand the stakes. You'll take that risk, I said, heart beating ferociously in my chest. Eileen, and we're going to uncover the truth about my family, and you can't stop us. In that instant, everything I had feared about my father's wrath crystallized. His entire life had been a carefully choreographed dance of lies, and I had unwittingly stepped onto the stage. What unfolded next would determine whether our dance would end in destruction or revelation. His voice dropped to a chilling whisper, barely audible over the windswept night. You think your past doesn't reach you here? This life, this wealth, it was built on sacrifices far darker than you can fathom. If you dig too deep, you may find truths that are better left buried. A sudden silence enveloped us, the air thick with the implications of his warning. To turn back now would be to live a lie. You won't intimidate me, I replied, but inside, I felt a tremor of fear prickling at the edge of my resolve. We're going to find out what happened to her, father. I deserve to know. The weight of the moment rested on my shoulders, dangerously teetering on a knife's edge, until my father's lips twisted into a sinister smile. Very well. But remember, Alex, the truth has a way of consuming those who seek it. You'll learn soon enough that some shadows fight back. With that, he turned, his silhouette fading into the heavy darkness, and the echoes of his words reverberated through me. I felt exposed, bare in a world that had suddenly become infinitely more perilous. Eileen took my hand, grounding me once more. You were strong. But we have to move quickly. He won't let this go unchallenged. He'll do whatever it takes to protect the family name. Where do we start? I asked, urgency seeping into my veins. The letter, she replied, the conviction in her voice reigniting flickers of hope. It led us this far. I believe there's more, a hidden connection, a place, something we haven't uncovered yet. Yes. We need to dig deeper, uncover hidden truths, I agreed, the determination fierce within me. But we must be careful. The night felt heavier with every passing moment, a veil of uncertainty weighing down the remnants of my childhood innocence. As we set forth from under the refuge of the oak tree, the world felt stark and unfamiliar. Yet somehow, through the fear and the unknown, I felt a quiet spark within, a treacherous hope entwined with bravery. But an abrupt crash echoed through the silence, a noise sharp enough to cut through the calm veil of the night. I exchanged a frantic look with Eileen just as a figure materialized from the shadows. The universe seemed to still, and in that moment, everything shifted. It was an unfamiliar face, one that threatened to unlock a door within me that would finally reveal the truth. The stranger who looked oddly familiar. I have what you seek, the figure said, and every fiber of my being recoiled from the revelation in those words. In that heart-stopping moment, I realized that the truth we were seeking could spiral into something far more devastating than I had ever anticipated. The air hung heavy around us, saturated with an electric anticipation that felt almost suffocating. As the stranger took a step closer, a flicker of recognition danced across my mind, pulling memories from the depths of my consciousness, memories adorned with a warmth I had long forgotten. My heart raced, caught between a swell of confusion and an ill-fated hope. Who are you? I managed to ask, my voice barely more than a whisper, echoed in the silence that enveloped us. My name is Daria, she replied, her gaze steady, as if she had known me my entire life. And I have something important to share, something about your mother. Eileen squeezed my hand tightly, grounding me once again amidst the chaos of emotions swirling in my chest. The name hung in the air like an invocation, resonating with fragments of my past. My mother? I repeated, my voice filled with an almost desperate hope. What do you know about her? Daria hesitated for the briefest of moments, assessing our small group with eyes that spoke of untold stories. I was once part of your family's world before everything changed. I know things your father has never shared. Things that could alter everything you believe about your past. My mind raced, grappling with each word. Could this person truly hold the key to maternal truths I'd been denied? The storm inside me quieted, replaced by a fragile thread of hope that lingered just within reach. Why now? Why are you here? I've watched you from a distance, Alex, Daria continued, her voice softening. I've seen the way your father has manipulated the truth. But truth cannot remain buried forever. I believe it's time for you to understand your family's legacy, not just the fortune it brings, but the shadows it casts. But what if he finds out? Eileen interjected, her concern palpable, likeness vibrant against the backdrop of this revealing storm. Can we trust her? Daria nodded, conviction resonating beneath her gaze. You must act quickly. Your father's reach extends far, and he will do anything to silence those who threaten his grip on the truth. I have a place you can go, somewhere he can't touch you, where the past comes to life with meaning. What does that mean? I pressed, adrenaline coursing through my veins. What do you want us to do? Follow me, she said, and the urgency in her voice was unmistakable. I will take you to a place where you can find the answers you seek, a place filled with memories, some of which may be painful, but necessary for you to understand what was lost. The way forward was shrouded in fog and uncertainty, leaving me grappling with doubt. Yet this tantalizing offer surged like the dawn breaking through an endless night. Okay, I breathed, glancing at Eileen, her eyes shining with encouragement, but before we could take a step, a low voice sliced through the air, settling into our hearts like a winter chill. And where do you think you're going, Alex? It was my father, emerging from the darkness like a specter, his presence suffocating and formidable. My body froze, caught in the crossfire between light and shadow, between the truth I yearned for and the chains that had bound me for too long. Don't you dare interfere! I shouted, risking it all, my heart pounding furiously. His eyes narrowed, a smile creeping across his lips, revealing the predator lurking just beneath the surface. You really believe you can unearth your mother's memory and escape unscathed? You're stepping into a pit of despair. Enough of your threats. Eileen stepped forward, her courage igniting a small flame of strength within me. We're done being scared of your shadows. My father laughed, but the sound was devoid of joy, an echo of power and manipulation. You think you are strong enough to confront the realities waiting in the dark? You'll wish you hadn't. Daria stood resolute, facing him with a defiance that seemed to challenge the storms they used to command. It doesn't have to be this way. Alex deserves to know the truth, regardless of your fears. All knowledge comes at a price, he warned, a sinister undertone coursing through his confident demeanor. Are you prepared to pay it? A shuddering breath escaped my lips, the weight of the moment crashing wildly around me. What will it cost me? I managed to ask, the question heavier than I anticipated, echoing through the trepidation in my heart. Everything, he whispered, his gaze laser-focused on me, transferring the gravity of those words into my very soul. You are risking more than just family ties. You risk the essence of who you are. Daria looked at me, urgency glowing in her eyes. You must choose now, Alex. Will you remain in the darkness, or will you embrace the light, no matter the cost? The future stretched before me like an untraveled road, filled with the echoes of a life teetering between the known. Every fiber of my being cried out to leap into the unknown, but hesitated beneath the weight of consequences I could scarcely begin to imagine. And yet, as I glanced between my father and architect of shadows and Daria, who remained an indomitable torrent of truth, I knew one thing for certain: my heart was no longer his to command. In that electrifying moment, I had my answer. The choice had been made, but with it came a new wave of revelations, each steeped in uncertainty, bearing the potential to shatter my world entirely. Let's go, I whispered to Daria, heart pounding. The cliff above us loomed, and I could feel its pull, even as I heard my father's laughter echo behind me. But just then, a strange sensation prickled through the air, the sound of footsteps, not from my father, but someone approaching with a purpose. A flicker of doubt painted the horizon of my newfound resolve. The truth was about to unfold, but in this moment, before we could take the first steps into what lay ahead, I felt the flicker of a new gut-wrenching revelation surging from the darkness at my back, a truth that promised to change everything. As we stood on the precipice of an unfolding nightmare, a chill crept through me, mingled with the thrum of anticipation racing through Eileen and Daria. The footsteps drew closer, slicing through the tense atmosphere that had enveloped us. My father's laughter had faded into an unsettling silence, replaced instead by the sound of urgency approaching us from the shadows. The path before us, steeped in uncertainty, felt both thrilling and perilous. I shivered at the idea that the fight for my mother's truth was wildly intertwined with the instability of my own history, one that could shatter with a single whisper. For every ounce of strength that ignited within me, a wave of dread gnawed at my core. What if the truth was more horrifying than any fiction I had ever conjured? A shimmering figure emerged from the gloom, and my heart sank deeper as recognition struck like a thunderbolt. It was Maya, the maid who had worked tirelessly in my family's home, her presence at once comforting and devastating. Memories clashed within me, dancing like shadows in the corners of my mind. Maya had been more than an employee, she had been a friend when my world felt unbearably lonely. "What are you doing here?" I exclaimed, my voice betraying the turmoil within. Her face was etched with urgency, but also sadness, a mixture that seemed to unravel my resolve. "I didn't come to confront your father," she began, her breath coming in soft, hurried bursts. "I came to find you, to help you." Her gaze shifted past me to my father, who watched with bemused indifference, measuring the weight of this unexpected reunion. "Help me?" The words tumbled out, twisted with disbelief. "What could you possibly know?" She took a deep breath, gathering her courage, eyes flickering to Eileen and Daria, who stood at my side, bolstered by solidarity. "I know things, Alex, things about your mother that might put you at risk. I had hoped to speak with you before the game of shadows unfolded." A shadow flickered beneath my father's stoic visage. "You shouldn't be here, Maya. This is none of your concern." His voice dripped with a menace that made a shiver run down my spine. "But it is my concern," Maya shouted back, the fierce spark igniting behind her timid demeanor. "For years, I saw the way she smiled, how she tried to shield you from the darkness your father cast. I tried to protect you both." "Maya, what do you mean?" I asked, feeling the tightness in my chest unravel into a web of confusion. "Your mother didn't die by accident," she said, voice trembling. "It was a consequence of unknown truths, layered and entwined. The night your life turned upside down, she uncovered things she shouldn't have. Your father couldn't allow that to go unpunished." I felt the world tilt under my feet. That's not true." The protests spilled from my lips like jagged stones, but deep down, uncertainty flickered. Had I known anything about my past? Or had I been blinded by my father's machinations? "Why didn't you tell me this sooner?" I implored, desperation spilling from every word. "All those years in silence when you knew? You could have saved me more pain." I tried. Tears glimmered in her eyes, the sorrow tightly bound with a hint of resolve. "But you were a child, and your father's influence was too powerful. I didn't know how to reach you without risking everything." The weight of her confession bore down on me as I stood amidst the storm, raw emotions churning within. Would the echoes of the past obliterate my vision for the future? I felt myself teetering on the edge, each revelation pulling me deeper into a realm of doubts that fought to suffocate my hard-won independence. From somewhere behind me, my father's voice cracked the tension like lightning splitting the night. "Enough with these fairy tales, Maya. You're a maid, know your place." The disdain in his tone was palpable, lashes of domination choking any flickering light of hope, yet Maya stood firm. "No longer will I allow you to use your influence to control others as if they are mere puppets in your twisted game. Alex deserves the truth." "Enough," he thundered, his bravado unraveling slightly as he stepped forward, a chilling presence igniting fear in the air. "You will regret meddling in matters far beyond your understanding." In that instant, a weight-laden silence enveloped us, it hung heavy with electric potential, quenching every heart. I felt the walls of my world quiver, about to tremble in the face of secrets long buried. A dose of reality struck painfully. Why had I ever believed I could rise like a phoenix from my father's looming shadow when the roots of my past were so impossibly tangled? But even as despair clawed at my spirit, a gentle pressure wrapped around my fingers. Eileen's hand, a lifeline anchored in turbulent waters. "Let's not lose ourselves in his games," she murmured, her voice a breath of solidarity. "We're stronger together," Daria joined in. "Whether you accept it or not, Alex, the truth isn't kind. But neither is hiding from it. As the tension simmered, the realization washed over me that I stood at a crossroad, a path spiraling between agony and liberation. Would I dare navigate the pain, unraveling threads too delicate to touch? And as if summoning the cosmos to illuminate our fates, another pair of footsteps echoed again behind me, breaking through the haze, the final shard of fear finally converging upon us. Would it be my father's reinforcements, or something more from the past I feared confronting? My heart hammered violently in my chest, teetering on the brink of revelation, not just about my mother, but my very existence. The truth awaited, but surrounded by ghosts of uncertainty, I felt the fraying edges of my resolve stretch perilously thin. What I would face next could rewrite everything, and so we stood, suspended in that moment, as the specter of my past closed in, ready to spill secrets that could shatter everything I thought I knew. The air thickened, ripe with an unshakable tension as the footsteps drew closer. In that fleeting moment, an almost tangible dread wrapped around my throat, rendering me breathless. Was it my father's reinforcements, or was it something more sinister? I yearned to turn, to confront the unknown, but my feet felt like they were buried in quicksand, and the gravity of the moment held me captive. Eileen's grip tightened around my fingers, her warmth imbuing a shimmer of hope amidst the looming darkness. "We face this together," she whispered, almost as if anchoring me to resolve. Daria mirrored her sentiment, her eyes aflame with unwavering loyalty. The footsteps came to a halt behind us, and an unnerving silence settled over the clearing, as if the very world held its breath. I could sense the simmering undercurrents between Maya and my father, undulating with years of unspoken tension that had eroded the tacit bonds of loyalty they had once shared. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the tree lean, breaking into view. My breath caught as the outline sharpened into a familiar form, and with an urgency ignited from the depths of my heart, I stepped forward. It was Liam, my childhood friend, but now the play of shadows across his face was unsettling. He looked older, more worn than I remembered, and the chill deepened as it struck me that he had chosen this moment to show himself amidst our chaos. "Alex," he called, voice hoarse but resolute, eyes scanning the gathering with a blend of recognition and despair. When his gaze fell on Maya, the deep lines etched across his face deepened even further. "What's happening here, Liam?" I breathed, the name hanging heavy between us. "You shouldn't be here. This is dangerous," but he stepped closer, shaking his head with a tumult of emotions stirring behind his troubled brows. "I didn't come for the fight, Alex. I came to find the truth. There are things you don't understand, things we haven't talked about. You need to know what's at stake." My father scoffed, venom laced within his words. "You're a fool for thinking you can change anything here, Liam. The past is buried for a reason." "Is it buried?" he retorted. "Or have we simply ignored it long enough for it to fester? Alex deserves to know the truth about his family, about his mother, about you." The fire in Liam's eyes ignited something long dormant within me, a flicker of defiance that urged me forward. I searched the faces of my friends Eileen, Daria, and now Liam, grasping for courage in the swell of uncertainty. What truth, Liam? What could be worse than what I already believe? With every mystery unraveled, I fear the ground beneath me shifts. "I don't want to shatter into a million pieces. We all fear that," he said softly, his voice steadying against the storm. "But you have to confront it if you want to be free. If you want to stop being a pawn in your father's game." Maya interjected with faltering resolve. "What he means, Alex, is that there are consequences, real, personal consequences to every secret. The night your mother died, the night she sought justice, there were others involved, people who weren't just your father. You need to understand that your father shielded you from an entire world of deception. The words drained color from my cheeks. What lay beyond those shadows? Faces I hadn't known intertwined with my very existence. My sense of self felt like it was tethered to a string about to snap. You kept me in the dark all these years. I cried, venom lacing my confession. All of you. Why? Because we were afraid. Liam admitted, hands clenching into fists. Afraid of your father, afraid of losing you. But this isn't just about us anymore. It's about you uncovering the truth, however painful it may be. The wind howled through the trees, amplifying the tension that danced like fire in the air. My father's eyes narrowed, his very presence an ocean of malevolence. You know nothing, Liam. This is not your family to unravel. The ground beneath my feet shifted. It's my life, my truth, and I will uncover it, I declared finally, the weight of indecision falling away to an insistent thrumming of purpose. You have crafted a web of lies, but I refuse to be held hostage by your design anymore. Sudden silence enveloped us, as though the world paused to witness my declaration. I turned toward Liam, my heart racing at the unfamiliar certainty newfound within me. What do we do now? But before he could respond, a rustling emerged from the shadows behind my father, and we all turned in unison, hearts pounding in sync. Another figure stepped forth, this time a woman, eyes glistening with familiarity and echo from my childhood, a person I hadn't seen in years. Alex, you have to listen. The word soared through the air, heavy with revelations yet unspoken. Everything I thought I knew unraveled beneath the weight of her presence, and as recognition hit, panic clawed within me, the realization rushing forth that the fragments of my past were converging, ready to unravel in ways I had never imagined. The sudden arrival of the woman sent a ripple of shock through our group, her presence constricting my throat with an uncanny tightness. It was Elena, my mother's sister, someone I had not seen since I was a child. Memory splintered before me, her warm laughter, the way she used to cradle me in her arms as she whispered bedtime stories, now dulled by the passage of time and regret. Alex, she spoke, each syllable laden with urgency. You need to understand everything. You've been shielded from so much sadness, but you are running out of time. Her eyes searched mine, pleading with an intensity that ignited a storm within me. No, I whispered hoarsely, shaking my head to ward off the disarray that threatened to spill over. This can't be happening. You abandoned us. The sharp edges of my accusation cut through the stillness, and Daria placed a hand on my arm, grounding me despite the tempest inside. I didn't leave, Elena choked out, her voice breaking as she stepped closer, palms raised in surrender. I was forced to go into hiding. Your father did terrible things to me. To your mother. I was terrified, Alex. I had to protect you. The remnants of a childhood filled with innocence shattered as her words cascaded into the void. My father's eyes blazed with an icy fury, and he stepped forward as though to shield the intricate facade of our family from further unraveling. You don't know what you are saying, he spat, his voice laced with contempt. You think she cares for you? She abandoned you, just as your mother did before her. No. I shouted, and the sheer force of my voice surprised even me. You will not twist this. You cannot dismiss her truth. You've woven a spell of lies that's haunted all of us. Liam stepped closer, a fierce protectiveness radiating from him. Your father's grip over you is weakening, Alex. You are not a child anymore. You deserve to know what transpired within this darkness. Elena turned toward Liam, acknowledging him with a slight nod before her attention honed back to me, her voice softening. Things happening now are a reflection of the past, Alex. There was a plan, a conspiracy, designed to take your mother down. Family is not what it seems, and I wish I could erase the pain it has caused you. But you must understand, you are the key to retribution. My heart beat erratically as fragments of half-realized memories swarmed me, and a dark confusion clawed within. Why should I believe you? All I have are your whispers now, stories long gone, I countered, desperate for clarity but drowning in the tidal wave of new upheaval. Elena stepped closer, desperation painting her features, her voice trembling. Because your mother didn't die, she was betrayed. Years of loyalty were stripped away, and I fear the price has long since been written in blood. They're coming back for the truth, for you, Alex. There is power in knowing the past. Trust me. A flicker of doubt wormed through me, but beneath it sparked an undeniable ember of curiosity. A shadow's cape I knew too little of but was also tethered to by blood. The whispers of betrayal echoed. How could it be so intricate when I had thought it was so simple, and yet, as the truths threatened to engulf me, shards of hope ignited amid despair. If there was a chance to reclaim my narrative amidst the wreckage of my family, could it also lead toward something unattainably, a sense of belonging, not bound by the deception I had been raised within? Where do I begin? I asked, my voice finally quaking with purpose amidst the chaos. But before she could respond, a low rumble broke through the stillness of the clearing, vibrating the ground beneath our feet. A dark cloud rolled above us as if the sky had decided to mirror the tumult below. My pulse quickened as shadows flickered and twisted through the trees, and within seconds, heavy footsteps thundered toward us through the branches, accompanied by a chorus of shouts. Alex! We need to hide. Eileen tugged at my arm, panic mingling with urgency as we all scrambled to retreat. But as I glanced back toward my father, the realization hit me in a visceral wave. This confrontation had only just begun, and there was no turning back. The truth was unraveling, yet the danger was palpable. As the ominous figures broke through the tree line, a chilling realization swept over me. The answers lay within the darkness that patiently encroached, but I felt trapped at the center of it all. Liam's eyes met mine, and for that brief instant, an unbreakable bond formed, forged by a shared intent to confront the demons of our past. Whatever happens next, Alex, he murmured, we face it together. Then, out of the shadows emerged a figure so unexpected, so deeply entwined with my family's hidden grief that the ground shifted once again beneath my feet. The unseen threads of fate pulled closer, and within me, the whisper of discovery battled against the suffocating dread. Your mother, the figure intoned, voice eerily familiar, wrapping the air with a shroud of certainty. She is very much alive. The truth reverberating through the air felt like a bomb detonating within the confines of my spiraling mind. My heart raced, beating against the cage of disbelief encasing my chest. What? I gasped, my breath mingling with the charged atmosphere. The shadows swirled around the figure emerging from the darkness, each detail crystallizing into reality. As the familiar features sculpted by years of separation came into view, disbelief hardened into a Gonya whirlwind of emotions that trapped my soul within a vortex. There she stood, illuminated by the flickering light from the trees, eyes radiating a tempest of emotions that echoed between nostalgia and sorrow. Alex, the figure spoke, her voice thick with emotion. It was my mother Raylanth's name that had haunted me for days, threaded through whispers of shadows. My heart shattered and mended all at once. You're alive? I choked, the words spilling from my lips like a prayer and a plea, yet doubt mixed with the elation threatened to drown it all. But why? How? A long story, she replied, her gaze flickering to my father, now suffocated by the shocking gravity of the moment. One that involves choices made not out of malice but of desperation. I never wanted to leave you, Alex, but there were things I had to escape. The weight of her words pressed against my chest, igniting confusion and desperation. I thought you were gone. I thought I was alone. My voice cracked, unraveling years of pain and solitude, the hours lost in darkness flooding back relentlessly, every moment defined by loss. She stepped closer, every nuance reflecting the pain mirrored within me. I was protecting you. Your father, the secrets run deep, and the danger was too great. I needed to shield you from the truth. But you deserve to know. Around me, the shadows transformed, swirling whispers threatening to envelop me, yet the warmth of connection blossomed inside, fueling the resolution buried beneath years of uncertainty and fear. What truth? I whispered, each syllable laced with desperation. What am I missing? What darkness has consumed our lives? My father erupted. This is madness. His voice, once a bastion of untouchable authority, cracked like ice beneath the pressure of revealed truths. Elena, leave now, this has nothing to do with you. But determination fueled my mother's gaze, a fierce resolve igniting every cell of her being. No, Jacob. It has everything to do with me. I came for my son, and I will not allow you to silence the truth any longer. Alex deserves to know who his mother is and who his family truly is. The shadows from my father narrowed into a tempest of indignation. You would risk everything for a child who will simply be another pawn in this twisted game? I could feel the walls around me vibrating with tension. Stop. The word broke the charged atmosphere like thunderclap against the tumultuous ground beneath us. Why don't you just tell me the entire truth? I don't want to dance around shadows anymore. What's the worst that can happen? With my heart pounding like a drum in my ears, I braced myself. The winds changed as my mother spoke again, her voice firm but filled with trepidation. There are forces at play that are far stronger than either of us can imagine. The truth about your mother's past connects us all, Alex, your father, myself, your family's legacy. It could change everything. The clarity washed over me like a tidal wave, washing away layers of confusion that had beset my family for years. Then we expose it. Whatever darkness lies ahead, we face it together. I sought out Eileen's unwavering gaze, the connection sparking warmth against the storm brewing within. Together, she echoed, filled with unyielding support. Absolutely. Liam stepped to my side, steadfast, a new resolve glistening in his eyes. We're with you, Alex. But before I could relish the rush of determination coursing through our small group, the ominous echoes of deep footsteps approached, sinister and intent, encroaching upon the very fabric of our revelation. Just as the tension threatened to snap like a taut string, figures materialized from the deepening shadows, menacing silhouettes whose intentions rumbled like distant thunder. Stand down, a voice boomed from the darkness, unmistakably laden with authority. My father turned, rage flickering like a flame. You should have known better than to expose yourself. The words erupted from him, a desperate gasp against the wave of truth raging through the storm. They're coming for you, Jacob, the voice continued, raking over the tension, igniting panic within. You can't hide from what you've done. Confusion twisted deep within me. What had he done? What abyss had opened, spilling forth perilous threat from our past? Who? I blurted, a growing dread gnashing against my resolve. Before the newcomers could answer, my mother stepped in, protective resolve illuming her features. You need to leave. Now. The intensity of the moment held all of us captivate, pulsed with desperation and uncertainty. You can't leave this place. Not after everything. I shouted, my voice ragged with emotion. But she shifted her gaze to me, a knowing sadness weaving through her. I can't risk losing you again, Alex. The truth will only lead to more danger. This could ruin your future. No. The ground beneath my feet felt like it might give and swallow me whole. You will not let your past steal my future. It's not just about you, Alex. It's about the legacies we bear and the consequences of our past. Her fierce protection stoked flames of confusion and despair within men, not from defiance but from the fears that something deeper stretched beneath my cries, that I could feel a storm rising within those shadows, unseen, yet palpable and ready to burst forth. What do you want? I turned to the shadows behind my father, seeking answers from the unknown. Then, just as if the answers were trapped within the bristles of fear, the figure stepped closer, and the cold fog of recognition swept through the air. It was a man I had never met, yet his eyes shimmered with familiarity, a reflection of darkness I had grown familiar with. Things we buried must finally be unearthed, he said firmly, an edge of authority cloaked in shadows. Each heartbeat thundered in my ears, the gravity of his words haunting me. Who are you? I stammered. Your legacy, Alex, he replied somberly. A legacy you can no longer ignore. As the storm threatened to dissolve my world, the tumult of confidence inside felt unbending. "Then let's break the shackles," I whispered, my breath trembling against the weight of impending resolution. The shadows gathered closer around us, murmuring tales of untold suffering, but now I felt light within an unquenchable need to bring forth frail hope among the ruins of despair. In that pivotal moment, I realized that every shadow bore dimension beneath the weight of its truth. "I am not afraid," I proclaimed, fear unspooling with the cadence of my voice. "I stand against what I don't want to be defined by." The murmur grew loud. The shadows whispered of lost legacies tangled within the invisible threads of the past. The shadows might linger, but I would not flee. What awaits below may shatter us, but maybe it will set us free. My resolve coursed through each heartbeat, echoing the vows murmured among twisted fates. Together, we began to bridge the gulf of uncertainty, stepping into the unknown, unwinding the strands that had long tethered our fates. The dark veil enveloping the mansion felt like it was lifting, just enough to illuminate the faint pulse of hope flickering within the depths of despair. Choosing to embrace our truths, we forged ahead, not merely as wandering souls, but as families bound by revelations that once felt impossible, striving toward a past buried alive yet yearning to be understood, hoping that through the remnants scattered around us, we could create a future abundant with love. And as the tempest howled and the shadows whispered forth their secrets, I felt a flicker of bravery ignited within my heart, illuminating the darkness that had long encased my world. I may not have known yet what awaited among those shadows, but nestled within the depths of uncertainty, I found an unwavering light ready to blaze against the night. Together, I echoed back, thick with hope as we plunged into the depths, the collective whispers of our truths juggling a final, haunting pull. And as the storm rolled heavily against the mansion, it felt as if the universe dared to intervene, opening the doors for everything we believed to shatter and giving birth to a rebirth beyond mere survival. The unknown lay before us, and this time, I was ready to confront it. Together at last, we stood on the verge of profound change, driven by newfound courage. Our stories entwined a painful legacy, but ultimately, the opportunity to transcend it, reclaiming who we were meant to be. With every pulse, every heartbeat, we unfurled the very fabric of what it meant to belong. Our journey had just begun, and together, we would discover both the light and the shadows that had long hindered our lives, finally transforming the specters of the past into a future of boundless love. And for the first time, I felt the weight of belonging drown beneath the power of understanding, the warmth of love flickering against the shadows, illuminating the way toward healing. In that lush fever dream, I knew it was no longer intertwined with shadows but a quest undeniably wrapped in the embrace of truth. The echoes of reality surged forward, ready to imprint the moment for eternity. Together, I whispered with resonance deep within as I clasped Eileen's hand, feeling love surge through me as the world faded around us, and chaos, alight with possibility, beckoned us forward forevermore.